Welcome to First Parish Unitarian Universalist. My name is Bob Smart. With my family, I've been here at this church since the early 1980s. In our church, members have some theological differences, but we have many shared values. Our differences pale in comparison to what we have in common. We are all born and we all die. In between these bookends, we all want to live good and meaningful lives. We have a lot to offer each other: friendship, knowledge, companionship, and many chances to work with each other towards common goals. You can learn more about all that's happening at this church by going to our website, uuneedham.org, where you can sign up for our weekly email newsletter. You can also follow us on social media. The theme of today's service, I heard from Katie, is the upcoming election. It's kind of interesting that this song, Wo Ya Ya, was chosen for this service because it fits in with what I want to talk about today. Wo Ya Ya is a word from Ghana, and it means we keep going, determination, faith, resilience. So at my college commencement, we elected my classmate, Fred Fisher, to speak for us. Fred had stringy red hair. He wore the same outfit every day for 4 years. Blue jeans, a white t-shirt, red suspenders, and a red headband. He was a religion and a philosophy major. And he and I bussed tables together for a couple of years at the college cafeteria to make a little bit of money. So at that time, Vietnam was very much on our minds. The killings had just occurred a year before at Kent State and Jackson State. The Nixon-McGovern election was a year away. And many of us thought that Richard Nixon was the devil incarnate. In that election, I campaigned for George McGovern, and as some of you may remember, he won one state, this one, and the District of Columbia. Anyway, back to Fred's commencement speech. What I remember most is what he said at the end. We, his fellow students, should keep the faith. We must trust each other to use our gifts and abilities for the common good, to do what's right. Turning to Tuesday's election, I can't count the number of times I've heard people say, well, if it doesn't go the right way, I'm moving out of the country. I don't see things that way. I say in this difficult time, let's keep the faith. At the Boston Book Festival last week, I attended a panel discussion called Black Resistance and Leadership. It was dynamite. One panelist said we should imagine the possibility of America fully realized. Another said of the various tactics of resistance, leaving is the least effective. A third said strong people don't need strong leaders. I believe in the American experiment in self-government. I believe in equality, human rights, and that legitimate government is based on the consent of the people. I say, let's not be overcome by the moment and seek to retreat or to escape. Rather, I suggest that we think about what kind of America we want and work to make it so. It's time for clear thinking and expression, courage and perseverance. Let's keep the faith. As the song said, whoa, yeah, yeah. On that note, we at First Parish are glad you're going to be joining us, and stay for coffee hour so we can get to know each other better.
Bob's been involved in local and higher up politics for a while as a campaigner and a registered voter. And so he asked if he could give the welcome. He didn't tell me that he was going to give the sermon. We can just wrap it up. And just all go home. Thank you. You're right. Thank you, Bob. No. As we light our chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, we read words from local Jewish American poet and artist Stuart Kestenbaum. Gather up whatever is glittering in the gutter, whatever has tumbled in the waves or fallen in flames out of the sky. For it's not only our hearts that are broken, but the heart of the world as well. Stitch it back together. Make a place where the day speaks to the night and the earth speaks to the sky. Whether we created God or God created us, it all comes down to this. In our imperfect world, we are meant to repair and stitch together what beauty there is. Stitch it with compassion and wire. See how everything we have made gathers the light inside itself and overflows? A blessing.
Oh, is it your time? Okay. I need to read.
Bob's a little taller than me. Okay. So light does overflow this morning. In addition to our chalice flame, we will also light a diya lamp in honor of the Hindu celebration of Diwali and the Tridevi goddess Lakshmi this weekend. I invite you to join in our responsive text, adapted from queer Euro-American UU minister Reverend Michael Tino, which he wrote in relationship with Hindu UUs. I'll read the plain type and you'll respond with Reverend Katie and read the italicized type. You'll find that text in your orders of service and on the screen. This remains a Unitarian Universalist service, not a Hindu temple. Would Sri Lakshmi, goddess of prosperity and abundance, want to enter this holy place, not of her own tradition?
We offer our diya lamp and prayer with respect and honor, not to claim them as our own. Here we see an abundance of gratitude for those who have shared their faith and rituals with us, and an abundance of inspiration from the stories and practices of Hinduism.
We light our diya lamp as sacred ritual to honor our interdependence with Unitarian Universalists and Hindus locally and worldwide. Here, we see an abundance of love to surround those who are struggling and an abundance of joy freely shared by those whose lives contain it.
We share our offering, we share sweet treats of the season, and we share our gifts and talents in ministry to one another. Here we see an abundance of resources that guide our mission and purpose as a faith community.
Welcome abundance, welcome prosperity, welcome love, and welcome light. Make yourselves at home in our hearts as we share the sacred quiet.
Welcome then, Lakshmi. We see that you're already here. The abundance you represent has already made its presence known in our congregation.
Our opening hymn, Our World is One World, has words from British poet and hymn writer Cecily Taylor. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing Our World is One World. The lyrics are in your orders of service, on the screen, and at number 134 in the gray hymnals.
Okay, they're letting me speak again. Okay, in the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of a congregation strives to honor with one another and out in the world. Whether we participate in our community online or in the building, we strive to live these promises every day. So please say these words along with me. From the parish covenant, as in your orders of service and on screen. We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world.
In October, we dove deep into our monthly theme of democracy and how important it is for everybody to have an equal say in their government's laws and representatives. And the big election day is only 2 days away. But it's no longer October, it's November, when our monthly theme is repair. So this morning, we'd love to share with you a book that touches on the power each individual has to make a difference, including the power to build and repair a relationship and a community.
Sometimes, when we're really frustrated or disappointed or worried, we can act in ways that hurt other people, or someone else who's really frustrated or disappointed or worried, they can hurt us. It is good to remind ourselves that even just one person's commitment to acts of kindness and justice can make an important difference.
Our story this morning is The Power of One. Every Act of Kindness Counts, by Euro-American children's author Tracy Ludwig and Filipino-American illustrator and author Mike Curato.
Sometimes one can feel like a small and lonely number, but don't let this number fool you.
One is a lot bigger and more powerful than you might think.
One, after all, is the starting point for change.
One good listener can make even the smallest voice heard.
One shy smile can lead to a friendship.
One caring friend can open the door for several more.
One sincere apology can help heal big and little hurts.
One warm hug can lift our spirits up when we're feeling down.
One thoughtful idea can bring a community together.
One handful of seeds can sprout into a garden.
One harvested garden can make a bountiful feast.
Acts and words of kindness do count.
And it all starts with one.
It can start with any one of us to plant seeds of kindness that grow into a nourishing, diverse community. The author Tracy Ludwig wrote, "Humans are social beings. We all have the fundamental need to belong and feel connected and valued. You don't have to be a superhero with extraordinary powers to be a real hero in your community. All it takes is just one person to reach out in kind ways, like including the excluded, upstanding to put downs, apologizing for hurts you've caused others. These make a positive difference in the lives of those we touch. The more seeds of kindness we plant and nurture, the more likely they are to take root and spread."
This week, we are asking all the registered voters that we know to vote with kindness, justice, and a healthy community in mind. If you have grown-ups in your lives who have already voted, thank them for participating. And if you have grown-ups in your life who have not gotten around to voting, encourage them to do so. Even one vote matters because every person matters.
Before we sing our kids and their teachers to religious exploration classes, let us share with you a poem from Filipina Indian American writer and educator Amy Nazikamatatail. It's called One Vote and begins with the note, "After reading a letter from his mother, Harry T. Byrne cast the deciding vote to ratify the 19th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution for American women's right to vote. My parents are from countries where mangoes grow wild and bold and eagles cry the sky in arcs and dips.
America loved this bird too and made it clutch olives and arrows. Some think if an eaglet falls, the mother will swoop down to catch it.
It won't. The eagle must fly on its own accord by first testing the air slide over each pin feather.
Even in a letter of wind, a mother holds so much power. After the pipping of the egg and the branching, an eagle is on its own, must make the choice on its own, no matter what it's been taught.
Some forget that pound for pound, eagle feathers are stronger than an airplane wing, and even one letter, one vote, can make the difference for every bright thing. As our children follow their teachers to their religious exploration opportunities, and all children are warmly welcome, please join in singing Longtime Son as in your orders of service and on screen.
May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on.
This is the time during our worship service when we share the joys and concerns that are close to our hearts and in our lives. For anyone not able to be here on Sunday mornings, we are receiving pre-submitted candles at candles@uuneedham.org by the Friday before the service at midnight. If you're participating on Zoom or on YouTube, you may type your candle into the chat box to be held by the community watching the service with you. We have a pre-submitted candle from our staff this morning, and it's a candle of concern and sorrow for the people of southeastern Spain, where nearly a year's worth of rain fell, causing flash floods. And we offer prayers for the over 200 people who have died, for their families and the communities destroyed and impacted by the flooding. We have a second pre-submitted candle of relief and gratitude from the Sklarwitz family, that Casey was found physically unharmed after not coming home from school on Friday. Their moms, Sherry and Anne Marie, want the congregation to know that Casey had had a really hard day at school, suffering very unkind behavior, bullying, and non-intervention from both peers and adults. After getting off the bus, Casey wanted some time and space to process what had happened to them, and didn't know that they had become a missing person. Anne-Marie and Sherry appreciate all the supportive messages they've received from First Parish friends and are open to receiving supportive cards as they move forward from this ordeal. Casey would prefer it if folks do not act differently around them or ask them about what happened. The family is incredibly grateful to the Needham community and the police department and for everyone who helped look for Casey and provided information so that they could be found. We light a candle of gratitude. And now, if you are here in the building, I see we have people already preparing, and you have a joy or a sorrow you would like to share, please come forward, light a candle, say your name, and if you'd like, your pronouns into the microphone, and describe briefly what's on your heart.
Hey, my name is Lily Whitman. Today, a friend of mine's nephew just was born, is being born today. Another thing is I can finally see better. And this is my second to last until the New Year's of coming to the service. I'll be online after next weekend.
I'm George Rapolt. Some weeks ago, I lit a candle of concern for my friend Elaine, whose dog had been run over by a motorcycle in front of her house while her son was walking it. This is another candle of concern because last week she received a letter from an insurance company demanding that she pay almost $8,000 to repair the motorcycle. So
I'm Susan Commuty, and this is a candle of joy. As an usher this morning, I was very aware of the families coming in and the number of children that were in our sanctuary this morning. So you could hear them a little bit maybe. And it's just making me so happy to see all those kids here.
Hi, Claire Galkowski, she, her. I have a concern and a joy. I'll start with the concern. My friend from college, Leah, has two twin granddaughters who were born prematurely a couple of weeks ago, and they have been struggling. One of them, the one who was doing poorly, caught pneumonia, and that, of course, was a setback. But they're both okay, and hopefully things will start to turn around, and they will be okay. And I have a candle of joy. Yesterday, I walked down to join a political standout with a number of my fellow Westwoodians, and I walked through a small throng of supporters of the opponent candidate, and we were all very kind to each other, wished each other a good day, and you know, it was very civil. And some of the people I joined in the standout, it was their first time. I and a few others had invited them, and they really were happy that they had joined and felt like it was a wonderful experience. So it was very enjoyable. So that's all.
Good morning. Eric Bailey, he, him. This is a candle of both joy and concern for the same topic. Joy for the strong affirmation by Needham Town Meeting 2 weeks ago for the MBTA Communities Act to give more access to housing in our town. Concern because, as many of you know, there is a motion underway now in our town, those of you that live in Needham, to repeal that vote. I urge you not to sign the petition. And I have actually heard of people who have signed the petition who would like to unsign it. I'm happy to talk with anyone about information. I'm a member of town meeting, so is Bob Smart. This is important. This is housing equity. We have a housing crisis in our state. This is what we need. So Please do not sign the petition. Encourage everyone not to sign the petition. Let the affirmative motion from town meeting stand. Thank you.
I'm Eleanor Rossellini. I'm lighting a candle for Jackie Shepherd, a candle of celebration for Jackie Shepherd, a beloved member of our community, our congregation for many years. Jackie moved to Hingham last year, and she is celebrating a special birthday this weekend. So happy birthday, Jackie. We're still thinking of you.
My name is Bernardo Almond, and I grew up in another country. When I was little, we had a dictatorship in our country in Brazil, and my mom was against it, and she was put in jail when we were kids, and my dad had to live under fake names, and a lot of their friends disappeared. What I want to say is that no matter what happens with this election, the United States is still a wonderful place. Our community is wonderful, and we just keep on, working hard to have the country that we all want. But it will not stop being amazing, whatever happens on Tuesday.
Good morning. My name is Andrea Goldberg. My husband Neil and I are lighting a candle of joy today. On Wednesday, we are leaving for Los Angeles. Our son will be married and his fiancée Selena will be married on Saturday. And we are thrilled. Thank you.
And we are going to light a candle for our country as many of us go to the polls on Tuesday. May the process be peaceful. And for those of us struggling to manage our anxiety, you are invited to use the altar here to my left that was created for the workshops that Reverend Katie and I have been leading on transforming election anxiety into action. You're encouraged to light the chalice and engage with any of the meditative and calming practices on the altar, either today during the service or at any point between now and when we go to the polls. And now for all the joys and sorrows that remain silent in our hearts, and for the prayers of our neighbors near and far, we light a final candle. May the peace in the sanctuary be felt too wherever you are participating from, as we remember that even though we are worshiping in different times and places, we are all still deeply connected. As we enter our time into meditation and prayer, I invite you to settle into your seats. Feel the floor beneath your feet, grounding you in this moment. And breathe in with me and out. Our prayer this morning is from Iranian-American UU minister Reverend Mitra Ranema, written for our national UU Side with Love's Democracy campaign. We direct our prayer to that which is bigger than us, but within us all, the synergy of human energy, a source of possibility. We come before this great power humbled, because in truth, We are loved and loving, harmed and harming people. For years, we have been immersed in a cycle of shock, numbness, shocked again by our neighbors, fellow citizens, leaders, by pandemics and political movements that are trying to shrink the circle of an embracing holy love. Therefore, we arrive to prayer frayed. We also arrive before the great powers of the universe, grateful for the love we know, the warmth we feel, the joy we can imagine, for the people who inspire, the resources we use. We say thank you. Humbly, we ask ourselves of one another, of our ancestors, of our faith, of the great holy, to be aligned with what is most true and good in the universe. We pray our existence becomes an extension of what is holy. We pray to be the bodies that widen the circle of society. And we pray for resilience so that we may remain engaged in the world. We will prepare ourselves for the resilience by making amends, by setting aside shame, shoring up reserves, resting the mind and spirit, strengthening our relationships, remembering our values, and humble ourselves. We pray for resilience. May it be so. Amen. Please remain seated and join in singing our meditative response, the first verse of Blessed Spirit of My Life. The lyrics are in your orders of service, on the screen, and at number 86 in your gray hymnals.
This congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. This is the time in our service when we, the modern stewards of the church, offer what we can to build and sustain the congregation and the world we envision. For the month of November, our offering collections will be split 50-50 with the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, or UUSC. The UUSC is the merged social service organization of the Unitarian Service Committee and the Universalist Service Committee, both founded during World War II to help those escaping Nazi persecution and to support relief efforts after the war. The UUSC today supports justice work through local partners around the world with a special focus on grassroots organizing abroad and legislative advocacy here in the United States. In partnership with our national denomination, the UUA, the UUSC also responds to natural disasters here in the States, right now with a focus on communities in Florida and North Carolina who were in the path of Hurricane Milton. To donate to today's offering, you can use one of 3 different methods as described in detail in your orders of service: text to give, donating through the website, dropping a check or cash in the collection plate, or mailing a check to First Parish. Whichever way you donate, please remember to specify whether it's meant for the plate collection or your annual pledge. And if this is one of your first visits to First Parish, we encourage you to fill out a yellow card in your pew back, drop it in the collection plate, or to fill out our online visitors form at uuneedham.updates.church. And many thanks this morning to Lynn Jakowski for our beautiful flowers in honor of hers and Elliot's daughter Hannah's birthday. Thank you for everything you are able to give to help support and sustain this congregation and the vital work of our community partners. May the ushers please come forward.
Our reading this morning is an excerpt from Euro-American Christian author Reverend John Pavlovitz's latest essay collection called Worth Fighting For: Finding Courage and Compassion When Cruelty is Trending. Pavlovitz wrote, "In real time, we Americans are crafting our collective legacy, and the world is watching to see who we will be. Our children are also, along with a vast multitude we will never know. Who will inherit the nation we will leave them? There's no question anymore for those not deluded by white supremacy, nationalistic religion, unacknowledged privilege, or self-preservation. We are facing an existential threat. It is a homegrown movement defined by an abandonment of empathy, a rejection of personal liberties, a removal of human rights, an elimination of diversity. The only question remaining is whether we will abide it. In the presence of such great hatred, we cannot claim neutrality. We are either adversary or we are accomplice, the vocal opposition or willing collaborators. In these very seconds in which we find ourselves in this singular day, you and I get to decide whether we will leave those on the horizon of history something beautiful or something grotesque. It's really that simple, that elemental, that close. This is not about waiting for someone else to do something, not God or a political party or a social media celebrity or some faceless people you imagine will rescue you. No, friend, there is no superhero flying in to save the day. You and I need to save it. And the way we will save it is by finding whatever pulls us up out of the paralyzing funk of grief, sadness, and disbelief we've been in, and into the jagged trenches of passionate resistance. We need to speak and write and work and protest and vote. Do all the things maybe we've been waiting for someone else to do. The things we wish more good people in the past had done. No excuses will be good enough to the generations that follow us about why we did nothing or grew too weary or to keep going. So we need to stop trying to find them. So instead of lamenting how horrible it all is, decide to make it less horrible. Do something in the small, close, here and now and doable of your daily existence, wherever you have both proximity and agency. Move into a small world that you can alter by showing up. Use your gifts and your influence and your breath and your hands and fix something that is badly broken before it breaks beyond repair. Affirm life. Speak truth. Defend the vulnerable. Call out injustices. And gladly brave the criticisms and the wounds you sustain in doing it, knowing that they are a small price to pay for the nation that could be if you speak, or the one that it will be if you do not. Chances are you won't actually be called to die for the causes of these people, but when you do leave this planet, you will have lived for them. That in itself is a beautiful legacy. There is an America worth fighting for. Find it, fight for it. Here ends our reading.
There is an America worth fighting for. Leave a beautiful legacy. My despair, maybe from 2016, asks, is there? And my anxiety, maybe from 2020, asks, and how? How can I do it? Formerly undocumented Mexican-American poet and educator Marcelo Hernandez Castillo wrote it this way: right now, I am uncertain of many things, not an uncommon problem among us. In this regard, everyone is just as boring as me. I'm climbing out of a 5-year depression rife with failed expectations. Is it wrong to think one is entitled to some kind of assurance that life will not be terrible in the years to come? Can I demand at least that little from my country. I've been looking to historic actors within the moral arc of the universe and to the poets and to my own breath, remembering that I am still alive. I am still one among other ones who are working to bend that moral arc. I've been learning about stories like this. Though Congress had passed the 19th Amendment to enfranchise American women on June 4th, 1919, to become part of the United States Constitution, the amendment also needed ratification from 36 state legislatures. Illinois got their act together first, ratifying it just 6 days later, and Massachusetts was in 8th place 3 weeks later. And in March of 1920, Washington became the 35th state to ratify the 19th Amendment, but by then 8 other state legislatures had rejected ratification and 4 others had declared they would not take up the issue until at least the next legislative session. And that left Tennessee. The state Senate decided to convene a special summer session. A new war of the roses engulfed Nashville between the yellow-rosed suffragists and the red-rosed anti-suffragists. The Tennessee Senate passed ratification, but the Tennessee House of Representatives was deadlocked, 48 to 48. All it would take would be one person to change their vote. In respect to his district's anti-suffrage leanings, Tennessee's youngest representative, 24-year-old Euro-American railway worker Harry Byrne, wore a red anti-suffrage rose on his jacket lapel, but on the inside pocket of his jacket, Byrne had tucked in a recently delivered 7-page letter from his mother, Feb. I cannot tell you how much I love this letter and its rhetorically effective mom energy. Page 1 seems pretty regular. Dear son, I wish you were home. We have had nothing but rain since you left. And then a bit of a non sequitur on page 2. The Rockwood crowd is going to White Cliff Labor Day. Will you be home by then? Hurrah and vote for suffrage! I have been waiting to see how you stood, but I haven't seen anything yet. Next paragraph, Mr. Owenby, the millman, bought the Charlie Whataburger house. And then some more about this neighbor and that wedding until page 6, which bounces from write your mother every time you have a chance to don't forget to be a good boy and help Mrs. Thomas Cat with her rats. Is she the one who put the rat in ratification? Concluding with, lots of love, Mama. Though Byrne had voted twice to table a vote on the amendment, when the ratification vote arrived on August 18th, he voted yes. Apparently, many limericks were written about Byrne in the aftermath. There is a young man from Neota who, for precedent, cares no iota. He sprung a surprise when he flopped to the eyes and enraptured the feminine voter. As for himself, Byrne said later, I knew that a mother's advice is always safest for a boy to follow, and my mother wanted me to vote for ratification. I appreciated the fact that an opportunity such as seldom comes to a mortal man to free 17 million women from political slavery, and it was mine. One letter, one relationship, one mama, one vote gave 17 million women the vote. I've been reading poetry like this, a pair of poems from Acoma Pueblo writer, educator, and veteran Simon Ortiz. This America has been a burden of steel and mad death. But look now, there are flowers and new grass and a spring wind rising from Sand Creek. That dream shall have a name after all. And it will not be vengeful, but wealthy with love and compassion and knowledge, and it will rise in this heart, which is our America. And this one from Black gay Harlem Renaissance poet Langston Hughes. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet and yet must be, the land where everyone is free. Oh yes, I say it plain, America never was America to me, and yet I swear this oath, America will be out of the rank and ruin of gangster death, the rot of graft and stealth and lies. We, the people, must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless plain, all the stretch of these great green states, and make America again. And I remember that I am still one among ones striving for our America out of steel and mad death, out of rank, ruin, graft, and lies, that we, the people, can create the America that could be wealthy with love, compassion, and knowledge. There is so much power to transform, heal, and repair in just one, especially with other ones. Jewish American author and retired physician Dr. Rachel Naomi Remen explained in an interview, Tikkun Olam is the restoration of the world, and this is, of course, a collective task. It involves all people who have ever been born, all people presently alive, and all people yet to be born. We are all healers of the world, and that story opens a sense of possibility. It's not about healing the world by making a huge difference. It's about healing the world that touches you, that's around you. That's where our power is. Many people feel powerless in today's situation. But according to this story, we are exactly what's needed. And just to wonder about that a little, what if we were exactly what's needed? What then? How would I live if I was exactly what's needed to heal the world? In this election year, we have first parishioners who have attended or helped organize voter education sessions, who are volunteering as poll workers, who have sent thousands of postcards and letters to voters near and far, who have donated to campaigns and get out the vote organizations, who have put out lawn signs or publicly endorsed candidates and ballot initiatives, who have traveled out of state to campaign. And you all are an inspiration. You offer hope when hope is hard to find. I loved the responses to my question in the Bell Notes. Why is it important to you as a Unitarian Universalist to support civic democracy? We are so lucky to live in a democracy. Our faith is founded on democratic principles, and UUs have a steep history in the founding of this country. Democracy is not a spectator sport. Democracy is the only way to ensure, or at least begin to obtain, equal treatment for all people. We're all about the inherent worth and dignity of each person, so everyone should have a right to their opinion and vote, and anything we can do to help make that happen is worthwhile. This is one way to live out of our values and help shape a beloved community. I think a lot about our kids, by which I mean all of the kids, every single one of them all over the globe, as Black writer and activist James Baldwin wrote, ending that essay's paragraph with, I am beginning to suspect that whoever is incapable of recognizing this may be incapable of morality. I want us to leave the children a beautiful legacy, a livable planet, a diverse, beloved global community, opportunities for each of them to grow and thrive and serve, a world of peace. The alternative futures are too dire for our despair or anxiety to incapacitate us. I want to be able to say we did all we could, even when we felt hopeless, even even in times like this, because each of those children and their futures, they each matter. So if you have felt any despair or anxiety or hopelessness as of late about whether our nation can be healed, repaired, ever meet its full potential, I offer you these words of resilience from chronically disabled Puerto Rican Ukrainian poet and activist Aurora Levins Morales. Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return, in times of mourning and in times of joy. Inscribe them on your doorposts, embroider them on your garments, tattoo them on your shoulders, teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies. Recite them in your sleep, here in the cruel shadow of empire. Another world is possible. Thus spoke the prophet and Salvadorian poet, wrote Dalton. All together they have more death than we, but all together we have more life than they. There is more bloody death in their hands than we could ever wield unless we lay down our souls to become them, and then we lose everything. So instead, imagine winning. This is your sacred task. This is your power. Imagine every detail of winning, the exact smell of the summer streets in which no one has been shot, the muscles you have never unclenched from worry gone soft as newborn skin, the sparkling taste of food when we know that no one on earth is hungry, that the beggars are fed, that the old man under the bridge and the woman wrapping herself in thin sheets in the back seat of a car, and the children who suck on stones nest under a flock of roofs that keep multiplying their shelter. Lean with all your being toward that day when the poor of the world shake down a rain of good fortune out of the heavy clouds and justice rolls down like waters. Defend the world in which we win as if it were your child. It is your child. Defend it as if it were your lover. It is your lover. When you inhale, and when you exhale, breathe the possibility of another world into the 37.2 trillion cells of your body until it shines with hope. And then imagine more. Imagine assault is unimaginable. Imagine war is a scarcely credible rumor, that the crimes of our age, the grotesque inhumanities of greed, the sheer and astonishing shamelessness of it, the vast fortunes made by stealing lives, the horrible normalcy it came to have, is unimaginable to our heirs, the generations of the free. Don't waver. Don't let despair sink its sharp teeth into the throat with which you sing. Escalate your dreams, make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way. Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion, and keep going. Hold hands, share water, keep imagining so that we and the children of our children's children may live. We and they are worth fighting for. May it be so. Amen. Our closing hymn, Answering the Call of Love, was originally named Standing on the Side of Love. The composer was inspired by a marriage equality statement issued by Black retired UU minister and former denominational president, Reverend Dr. Bill Sinkford. Shelton rewrote the lyrics to the chorus and renamed this hymn in response to inclusion concerns from UU disability activists. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing this updated Answering the Call of Love. Those lyrics are in your orders of service and on screen.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, and
Good morning, everyone. I'm Emily LaPierre. I'm the engagement coordinator. And as we near the close of our service, let me share with you some of our upcoming events here at First Parish. Please sign up for the Bell Notes e-newsletter on uuneedham.org or read this week's edition in full right now through the online order service at uuneedham.updates.church. All are welcome to our social hour both on Zoom and in the parish hall following the postlude. Today we have Caregiver Support Group, which is at 1 p.m. on Zoom. The UU worship at North Hill is this Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. And there'll be a special post-election hybrid Vespers this upcoming Thursday, November 7th at 5:30, which will also be live streamed from the sanctuary. The party with the First Parish at the Gala is this Thursday, November 7th at 6:30 at Jack's Abbey at 100 Clinton Street in Framingham. Friday's Creative Escapes at 10:30 a.m. And looking a little bit further ahead, we have How We Talk an Innovation Workshop, which is next Sunday at 9:15 a.m., so right before church. The beer tasting update on that has been postponed for the time being. We're still working on a new date, so please keep an eye out in the Bell Notes for further details and when the new date is arranged. Last but not least, the Homegrown Coffee House concert is coming up in 2 weeks with Guy Van Duzer and Billy Novick, classic jazz longtime homegrown favorite performers, on November 16th at 7:30, and the doors will open at 7. We always extinguish our chalice with words promising to carry its flame in our hearts until we are together again, no matter how long it is until we are all together again. Please join me from home or here in the building in saying those words written by UU Minister Reverend Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Please also know that minutes before the service this morning, Dara and I printed some resources from our Election Anxiety into Action workshops and from the UU Trauma Response Ministry. They're here near the door of the sanctuary, this door. There are wallet-sized cards of calming practices, maybe useful this week. There's information sheets on supporting children through difficult or traumatic events, and there's also this month's First Parish at Home resource packet on repair, which is for all ages. We'll work with Emily about getting all of these on the website ASAP too. Again, we did this at 10:20, so there hasn't been much time. As we close our worship today, take these words from Euro-American Buddhist UU minister Reverend Karen Johnston with you as a benediction. Do not be alone right now. Gather together. Gathering together grows courage in ourselves and in others who see the numbers swelling. It is a small thing, but right now it is an important thing. Great sources of wisdom remind us just because you cannot stem the tide of all hate, it is still right to do the thing you can do. These things add up. Your one thing and my one thing and his one thing and their one thing and their and her one thing. Together it becomes a big thing. Any liberation, all liberation is collective. My freedom is bound with yours and yours with mine inextricably. Let us together cast our lots during doing this big thing together, bending the moral arc of the universe toward justice. Our service begins when our service ends. Blessed be, and amen.